Hi, welcome back to General Chemistry. I'm your chemistry teacher, Miss Johnston. You remember me? So this is our first official day back in Gen Chem. And so the purpose of this video here is to just what I'm going to call renorm the class. The video that you're going to see here, I'm going to do a mental check-in. I'm going to show you how to do a mental check-in using this Flipgrid app. I'm going to tell you what my vision is for what's happening in Gen Chem, and then I'm going to show you your first assignment. Now, mental check-in time. I know some of you really enjoy knowing about what my dogs are doing, and I'm working now, so they're pouting. They don't like me working when I'm home because it's supposed to be their time. So there's Tyrion pouting, there's Stu pouting, and I just wanted to share that with all of you. So what I'd like to do here is also tell you about what your wonderful teachers are doing, learning this whole Zoom session. Last Saturday, we were working with chemistry teachers, and one of the other chemistry teachers' dogs barked at their house, and my dogs went running through the house to look for that dog, busted out the screen door. So if we do a Zoom session, I don't know if we're going to actually do that yet or not. The rule is leave your dogs outside, or else if they bark, my dogs are going to break doors. So the class expectations have somewhat changed here. We're going to now make this class self-paced, meaning that we are going to, have an assignment every week for something new in chemistry for you to explore. But you're not going to have that due until 3 days before the end of the school year. That means that you can work at your own pace. And I'm doing it that way because everybody is functioning a little bit different in our new reality. So you're going to do what you can do. And these assignments could take the form of notes, lab simulations, assessments, or maybe minor projects. And even if this is a self-paced class, please don't wait until the last 3 days of the year to do everything that I assign, because it's going to be 45 minutes of chemistry a week. So that's going to be a lot of stuff to save for the last 3 days. So try not to procrastinate. Do the best you can there. In terms of grading, I'm going to call it grading. Some of the assignments are going to be just given a completion grade, just like the first one I'm going to give today. Some of them will be assessed with that proficient, approaching proficient, and needs improvement grading system. Some will have a rubric attached. So whatever assignments I give you, make sure you look at to see how I'm going to be grading that. Since the class is now self-paced, please know that the grades on Skyward and Schoology, let's just consider them fake news, because we don't know what your final grade is going to look like in this class. There'll be information that's going to be shared with you with the administration about your choices for how you're going to be assessed, and you're going to make that decision with your family. We're going to do the self-evaluation conferences like we did last time, but these are the 3 questions that I'm going to ask you remotely, virtually. Were you able to participate to your full ability? Were you able to grasp most of the concepts that I've presented with a proficient or approaching proficient standard? And were you supportive with each other? Because everybody needs some support during this crazy time. Were you working to your best ability? Were you working and helping people that might not have the ideal situation that you do, and you could help them with that work some way, shape, or form that I can't reach those students? So those are the 3 questions that I'm going to be asking you at the end of the school year in order to figure out what your final grade is going to look like on your transcript. Moral of the story, please be flexible. Do your best to try. That's going to look different for everybody. Everybody has their own capability at this time in our history. And just do what you're capable of doing the best you can do. Fully aware that everybody's having different circumstances happen. And history will reflect well upon the ones who persevered. So here we go with your first assignment. A few weeks ago, I asked you via a discussion post, what interests you about chemistry? A few ideas. There's only about 15 of you that actually answered this, but some of the ideas that came up were exercising, cooking, material science. Some of you answered, well, chemistry is such a big topic, it's hard to narrow it down to one thing. One important piece, though, that you should know is that to understand anything about what you're interested in chemistry, we have to understand how energy behaves. Energy and the transformation of energy. So if we were in real school, well, this is real school, or if we weren't in virtual school, this is what I would have been teaching you next in class anyways. So here's going to be your task. Let's see if it flips to the next screen here. You are going to do what we call an energy web quest. Energy, just to define that, is a force that changes the behavior of a substance. First law of thermodynamics states that energy is never created nor destroyed in any process. Energy is always conserved and transformed. That means with whatever energy you start with is going to be the same amount of energy that you end with. So because you are going to keep that same amount of energy, that energy might transform into a different state. Part 1 of this web quest is going to ask you to define these different types of energy: mechanical, kinetic, potential, thermal, electromagnetic. We talked about this during the flame test lab. And chemical potential, electrical. After you do part 1, you've defined each one of these types of energy and gave an example. For part 2, you're going to need a blank piece of paper if you choose to hand draw this, maybe some colored pencils if you choose to hand draw this, and a straight edge, maybe if you choose to hand draw this. You're going to watch this little video down here called Cyclist versus Toaster. It's an Olympic track cyclist that's going to pedal his bike that's connected to a bunch of wires to try to generate enough energy to toast some toast. When you are done watching that video, and you can watch it as many times as you want, you're going to draw a model. And the model is going to have 3 things: the cyclist, the bike, and the toaster. You're going to figure out, after you draw those 3, what we're going to call systems, the cyclist, the bike, and the toaster, you're going to figure out where the energy is being transferred. So, for example, the first system we're going to talk about is the person riding bike, the cyclist. He's going to transfer energy to the bicycle. What type of energy transformation happens there? You're going to use arrows to show that, and you're going to label that type of transformation of energy from one type to another. So to turn this in, there's 3 options. You're going to take a picture of your diagram and upload it to Schoology. That's option 1. Option number 2 is you can share your computer drawing with me, or you can insert a picture of your drawing just right here in your copy of the document. Again, this is completion grade. Answering the first 2 parts completely with all 3 of these bullet points and all of your definitions written will suffice. When you're ready to do that, you'll see down at the bottom here that there will be a link. You're going to click on that link, and it's going to ask to request access for the next part, part 3. You can't have access to part 3 until you're done with parts 1 and 2, or else you'll know the answers to the model. So I will watch for that. When you are ready, you're going to request access. I'll grant it. And then you can check your answers with a PhET simulation, which I'll talk more about on Thursday. So at this point, if we were really in class, I'd say, are there any questions? And there would be people raising their hands. And Instead of doing that, you're going to ask any of your questions to the comments section on the assignment in Schoology. Don't hesitate to ask. Last part here, what's upcoming? There'll be a new assignment related to energy next week. The part 3 I'm going to put up for this assignment on Thursday, but next week there's going to be something a little bit new. Again, it's all self-paced, so if it's not done by next week, don't worry about it, just as long as it's seen between here and June 16th. And I want you to ask yourself, do you want to have a Zoom meeting at the class? If so, you can respond in the comment section of the assignment, or I'm going to try this Flipgrid thing, and maybe you'll have the ability to make your own little video like I'm doing, where you can say whether you want a Zoom session or not. Kind of nice to hear each and every one of your voices. I do miss teaching you all a lot. I really, really do. And it's been kind of difficult not being able to do the job that I love. I even miss teaching Jaden and Tyson. So you can respond to the Flipgrid. You can respond in the comments section if you want a Zoom meeting. At least minimum, if you could type "got it" in the comments section so I know that you've received the assignment, then we'd be good to go. Also, any questions that you have. All right, hope you enjoyed this first video. Thanks for joining me. Good to see you all. Have a good Tuesday.